Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to episode 29 of Discovering Steven Universe. Today the episode I'm going to be talking about is Island Adventure, and it honestly went a significantly different direction than I expected, mostly because this is another one of those, well, I guess there's no real short way to put it, but one of the episodes where Amethyst, Pearl, and Garnet aren't really there. Like, they're there at the very beginning, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, in this episode, obviously, we get to spend more time with Lars and Sadie. I know some people absolutely hate Lars, for understandable reasons. But I do honestly rather enjoy the episodes where we get sort of a focus on them and their relationship. But let's get into my favorite parts of this episode. Starting with Amethyst's trick after Steven warps them back home from the island. Just, in my opinion, it was perfectly executed. Like, you see a similar joke done on other TV shows at times, wherever sort of the ability to change form is incorporated, or other movies, stuff like that. Just something similar to scare the person that had just transported them there. But in this case, it worked really well. Like, the timing was perfect. I thought something might have been up since we only saw Pearl and Garnet on camera at one point. Then all of a sudden it shifts to Amethyst. But yeah, just overall, it was a really well executed and funny trick for this episode. So, that definitely gets a big thumbs up for me. Moving on, my second favorite part of this episode is Sadie. Sadie, again, between the two of them, between her and Lars, is definitely the more enjoyable character. The character that you can relate to. Well, maybe not relate to, but you can empathize and sympathize with her much easier than you can Lars. But in this episode, Sadie grows in a lot of ways. In ways that I honestly hope they keep consistent moving forward, at least to some degree. But first of all, she's a badass. I mean, she not only becomes the one that gets all of their food, but she takes down a gym monster. Just a normal human takes down a mostly invisible gym monster single-handedly. And I mean, I don't know if that means that maybe it was kind of a weaker, low-level gym monster that, the crystal gems could have taken out by just, going like that. But all the same, given what we have seen of gym monsters in the past, that's just pretty amazing, in my opinion. And it's something that I really do hope that they maintain going forward. Like, what if a time comes where, for some reason, the crystal gems are incapacitated for some reason, or they're unable to reach Steven, when he's being attacked by a gym monster, but Sadie steps in and defends him. And I just think that would be really cool, and it would be sort of the start of a build-up of, I don't know, maybe different humans that obviously not as powerful as crystal gems by any means, are capable of protecting the Earth should something ever happen to the crystal gems. But that's just a random thought about that kind of came out of nowhere just now. I literally just thought of that. But anyway, moving on to my third favorite part of this movie. The Sadie and Lars relationship evolution montage that goes along with the song that Steven is singing. And I honestly really did enjoy that. It was just really nice to see the way their relationship evolved over whatever span of time it was. I'm assuming it was maybe about a week, maybe? I can't say exactly. They don't really give us a good time frame except for the tattering of clothes, which, considering where they are and the climate, possibly. I mean, that can sort of expedite that kind of deal. But regardless, just the montage and the evolution of the way they interact with each other, the way they obviously feel toward each other, I found that to be a really enjoyable segment of this episode, and a really enjoyable segment of just their relationship as a whole from what we've experienced in the show so far. And that brings us to my fourth favorite part of this episode, which is when Lars opens up and just breaks down. Like, all of his walls are seemingly just knocked down by being stranded and feeling lonely. And, well, obviously he still has his walls when it comes to Steven, continuing to be easily annoyed by him. But just with Sadie, it's like he opens up and breaks down and starts crying. And despite what happens afterwards, it's portrayed in a way that honestly feels legitimate. It doesn't feel like he's being manipulative. It doesn't feel like he's being misleading to get his own way. It seems like authentic fear, authentic loneliness that just, again, I just really enjoy the way that they portrayed that in this episode. And then, of course, that brings us to my next part, which is definitely one of those that I would consider it's one of my favorite ideas, but not necessarily a favorite part of the episode. And that is when we find out that Sadie had actually covered up the warp pad, and had done that because she wanted to spend more time with Lars, or she didn't want Lars to just disappear or go back, because he wasn't giving it a chance. But it's the fact that Lars' anger is justified. I mean, for Sadie to go however long that was without ever just sort of sneaking back and uncovering it, I don't know, that just feels... I would also feel betrayed in that case. Even Steven says he wants to be angry too, but maybe somewhere else where they're not about to die. And yeah, it's just like the anger feels totally justified. However, Lars is still a major douche. He just instantly reverts back to his old self, saying, you kept us trapped here because you wanted to come on to me. Like, when he said that, it's like, again, it's like I had grown to start to like the character a lot through the evolution of their relationship, but the moment he said that, I just wanted to, like, right across the face of him. That, of course, I mean, people do say things they might not mean when they're angry, but for him, it again just feels like he reverted back to his old self very quickly. Which brings us to the final part of, or my final favorite part of this episode, which is just the line, don't read into it. From Sadie, after they've defeated after she's defeated the gem monster, and they're headed back to the warp, and I don't know, it's such a quick turnaround and seemingly more character development from her specifically, because Lars realizes that, well, he may not realize that he was in the wrong, but he truly feels grateful for what Sadie did. But then after all she went through, and then, they get back to the warp pad, she says, don't read into it. In my mind, that line right there might mark a significant change in their relationship, or possibly even her feelings toward Lars, which I'll touch on more here in just a little bit. But yeah, so overall there were a lot of really enjoyable parts for this episode. But I do, as always, have my annoyances, and there are things that I simply couldn't look past, especially after the episode was over. The first of which is, after Sadie gets bitten by the fish that's like trying to pull her in, and everything is over. It's like we see Lars like bandaging up her arm. Why didn't Steven use his healing powers? Now, I know previously we've seen that, you know, he sort of doubts his powers now. He doesn't know if they work. But he could have at least tried. Had they even made sort of a mention of it, or we had seen Steven, you know, like contemplating trying to use his healing powers, but then deciding not to, that would have been one thing, but it wasn't even brought up after she was chomped and nearly pulled into the water. So, yeah, that's one big annoyance for me. Probably just an oversight, but still, it bugs me. But that brings us to my second and final annoyance with this episode. And I think it just has more to do with the art than anything. Now, animation-wise, everything looks great in this episode. This is definitely one of their stronger ones. But Sadie's spear that she uses throughout the episode, and I realize that there's probably multiple versions of the spear that she has made over time, but it keeps changing. And again, if it had just been throughout the course of the episode, I wouldn't have minded. But then during the battle with the invisible gem, the invisible gem monster, we see it go from a spear with 2 pointed ends to a spear with 1 pointed end. And then it's so weird. It's like she's after she defeats it, she's getting back up off the ground, and it's like it seems like the point, I think when she's trying to pull herself up, like the point is pointed up, which seemed weird. But then when she's standing, it's in a different direction. No, the flat end is pointed up when she's pulling herself up. Yeah, it's the inconsistency of that just felt off. And I don't know, maybe it's implied that she flipped it around at different points, although she seemed extremely low on energy, so I don't know why she would have done that. But more so just the changing of the 2-pointed stick to just the one. And just, I know, major nitpick here, but just the inconsistency of that felt distracting for me. And especially when I watched it the second time and was actually looking for it. But anyway, those are my favorites and annoyances. Moving on to my track of the episode, and this one is undoubtedly obvious, but the song that Steven sings, I can't talk today, but the song that Steven sings during the montage of the Sadie and Lars' evolution in their relationship. And it's a really good song. Like, the previous one we had, if I'm correct, was during House Guest, when Steven and his dad were singing together. And in my opinion, it was one of Steven's, not even lyrically, but musically weaker songs, in my opinion. It's just like, it felt a bit off at times, even though it was an overall good song. But in this one, like, the voice actor that plays Steven, he did a really good job of singing here. Along with the ukulele, which I don't know if the kid actually plays it or if someone else is playing it, but the singing by itself is really well done. So yeah, that's definitely the track of the episode for me. It's really, really good. It's a song that I would listen to again. But okay, moving on from there, my quote of the episode, while don't read into it is definitely a strong one up there, the quote of the episode for me was one from Lars, and it's after he cooks the fish for the first time that Sadie had caught. And it's just simply, yeah, fire, nature's microwave. Which, as bizarre of a statement as that is, it's not wrong. It's a very strange perspective to take on it. But being, Lars being the character that he is, and of the personality that he is, and probably never growing up I assume he's probably never gone camping. It's just an assumption on that case. But Fire, Nature's Microwave, just feels so perfect for him as a character. And again, at the same time, not wrong. But anyway, so yeah, that's my quote of the episode. Before I move on, please everyone, if you have any of your own favorite parts, your own annoyances with this episode, tracks of the episode, if you know any others that there might be beyond just Steven's song, and any of your own favorite quotes, please do let me know what they are in the comments down below. I really look forward to hearing what you all have to say. Now, as for a question of this episode, didn't really have one, but my theory, which I don't know if I need to sort of meld the questions and theories together or what. Let me know what you think. But as far as the theory goes, I honestly think that this is the turning point that will probably make Sadie give up on Lars. Or maybe not give up on him as a person, but give up on him as far as wanting to be romantic with him. Just because, and it's mostly because of the way their relationship, it evolves over time, and then all of a sudden just hits this horrible patch. So, yeah, I don't know, that's my theory, that she's going to end up giving up on him as a romantic interest, but their friendship will continue. Maybe I'll be right, maybe I'll be wrong, I have no idea. But, as for my overall thoughts on this episode, I mean, while it's not one that I would consider one of my favorites, I do feel like it was an enjoyable episode. And again, it keeps going back to the evolution of the two characters and their relationship with each other. I legitimately find their relationship interesting, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Despite Lars not exactly being the most sympathetic character, or the least likely character that I would want to punch in the face on several different moments. Yeah, but anyway, as far as just seeing more of those two and seeing how they change with time, I really enjoyed the episode. Again, not a favorite, but overall it was enjoyable. And I look forward to seeing how their relationship might change from here if they do have any more episodes that focus solely on the two of them, or primarily on the two of them. But okay, that's all of my thoughts on Island Adventure. Like I mentioned before, if you have any of your own thoughts, please do let me know what they are in the comments down below, especially if you disagree with my assessment on this episode. I always find it interesting to read what some of you all have to say about an episode, whether I find it to be weaker or, I find it to be good, but someone else might not. So yeah, I really look forward to reading those. Again, even if I don't reply to you, I do my best to read all the comments that I can, and I really do appreciate them. Thank you all so much for supporting PapaKennMedia and checking out these videos. I cannot begin to tell you how much I appreciate it. But coming up next time, we have Keep Beach City Weird, which I keep forgetting the character's name, but I can only assume has to do with the older brother of the Fry Boys with the short dreads, or whatever they might be. But yeah, I'm interested to see what this episode will be like, especially if it focuses on him. But anyway, everyone, until next time, I'm PapaKenn, and I will see you on the next episode. Later.